Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets here. I know we've been on hiatus. Danko Batselli has over the past week. We will be back next week. I'm not sure if it's going to be Eric and myself, but Danko Batselli will be back next week. I'll have some outside guests, and we'll recap what we've seen so far. We'll move forward. 2 games tonight on the NHL. So in the NHL, so I have a couple of player props for you as well. We'll start with Florida and Boston. If you've been following along, you really like this Panthers squad, right? I mean, it's no secret. I think that they were certainly a little sloppy in game one, a little careless with the puck, and credit to the Bruins, they played well. But for the most part, the Panthers have been, the best team at 5-5 between these two squads. They've really taken it to the Bruins. There's been stretches where they've really had a lot of offensive zone time, and they really came together. The puck luck sort of deal kind of went their way when Paul Maurice went back to some of his old lines. It does sound like Sam Bennett has a real possibility of returning in this series. It could be as early as tonight. He's going to test things out, but he practiced this morning, so we could see him back very soon. But yeah, having Sam Reinhart with Barkov and Tarasenko and putting Verhaeghe with Tkachuk and Lindell in the middle there, and they'll have Sam Bennett take his spot. I like the Panthers. I jumped on them last night at minus 120. I think there's like minus 125-ish. Use the prop shop, parlay calculator over at FTNfantasy.com. 2 links inside the description of this video to get the best possible number. Don't know who's going to be between the pipes for the Bruins. My guess would be Jeremy Swayman. That's what I would do as well if I was Montgomery. I know he pulled him earlier, and I think it was just because the game was getting out of hand, and he wanted to save him for this game 3. He's been fantastic. Why wouldn't you go back to him? I know that Boston's rotated all year long between him and Linus Ullmark, but I just don't think that Ullmark has the same sort of ceiling as Swayman, and really the only reason that the Bruins are this far in the playoffs is because of Jeremy Swayman. So if he does play, I'd have a lean to the under, but I still would like Florida regardless of who's between the pipes for the Boston Bruins. So I think there was a buy low opportunity as well, down 1-0, but we're heavily involved in the Florida Panthers in the series spread, and of course them going to the Stanley Cup Finals in the futures. Carter Verhaeghe's the guy for me. Let us down in game 1. It looked like he had 3 or 4 shots at 4 or 5 different moments of game 1. He got a couple taken away, but the attempts have been there. He's got a series high 22 shot attempts and 7 shots on goal through 2 games. 39 minutes in the 2 games as well in the series, ranked second among Florida forwards, just behind Alexander Barkov. He also has a team high 15 scoring chances despite 0 points through 2 games. So maybe Sam Bennett coming back, but he's been all over it. He's always a good bet, I think, for an anytime goal scorer, first-time goal scorer. Get yourself a little bit of value there. Really fun series. Should be extremely physical. And you know what? The old Bruins they love this kind of style, but I just don't think that they should get involved. The Pasternak and Tkachuk thing was awesome. Like, credit to Pasternak, dropping the gloves. This is a rivalry now dating back to the past couple of years. I'm sure the Bruins are a little bit embarrassed and fired up from blowing that 3-1 series lead, but I don't think that it's done. Like, this isn't going to blow over. It's done with now. This is what Florida does. They're among the leaders in penalties taken. They have a great mix of skill and toughness, and they went toe-to-toe with the Bruins last year, who I thought were a little bit tougher as a squad. Nobody's just going to take Tkachuk now. Tkachuk's not going to. Who's I'm getting sidetracked here, but because I'm so fired up with the series, but I can't see anybody that's now going to go after Tkachuk. Maroon, like, this is not going to happen. I don't see Matthew Tkachuk fighting Pat Maroon. There's no Lucic there on the squad. This is what Florida does, and this is why they're so good. They get you off your game, and if they're going to continue to do that in Boston's, they need to shy away. After the whistle stuff, they really do need to shy away from it. The power plays, the shorthanded opportunities, or the power play opportunities for Florida will be the difference maker in this series, and they already have a better 5-5 game. So just my 2 cents on the series so far. It should be unbelievable the rest of the way, but I do like Florida at least to get this done in 6 games. What else from this game? So Carter Verhaeghe, a lot of shot volume, a lot of opportunities for him, and also Brennan Montour as well, over 2.5 shots, minus 106, and a point at plus 120. By the way, Carter Verhaeghe was over 3.5 shots at plus 120 at Bet Rivers. For Brennan Montour, much like Verhaeghe, I mean, the ice time is there for him. He does have the most ice time in this series at 46 minutes. He has 16 shot attempts, which ranks second behind Carter Verhaeghe. He had a 3-point game in game 1. Or game 2 rather, and he racked up, he's got 6 points here in these playoffs, and 4 of them have come over his, actually, let's get this right. He's got 6 points in the 7 games. That's correct. And all of them have come over the last 5 games. So he's in good form lately. A lot of the shot attempts, get blocked, and he's shooting for tips and some off the backboards and wide, looking for the rebound and pop out on a power play. But man, he just looks like the Montour of last year in the playoffs. It was just phenomenal throughout the entire 4 rounds for Florida. Recovering from, I think, shoulder surgery. He missed a little bit of time to start the season and just really didn't look like the same sort of player, but he does now. He's eaten a lot of minutes, and he's putting a lot of pucks towards the goal. So over 2.5 shots, minus 106. The point there is plus 120. Some other point parlays that I like in this game. So Barkov and Reinhart back together at plus 105, and Kachuk and Verhaeghe at plus 100. Those are over at Bet365. There's really only one Boston player I like. We'll get to it in a minute, and we got a little bit of a parlay there that we can add to it. Actually, we can just kind of get to it now and transition into the next game. David Pastrnak for 4 shots and Elias Lindholm for 2 shots at DraftKings at plus 155. Pasta, of course, does lead the series, or for the Boston, that is, in shot attempts. Actually, the entire playoffs, Pastrnak has led the Bruins in shot attempts, and he had a great game 1, very quiet in game 2, but at home, last change, those things do matter. Plus, I noticed that Montgomery put everyone back together on their first power play. He's doing some different things there in round 1 with Pastrnak away from McAvoy and Marchand, but they were together in game 2, and I expect them to be together tonight if they get some power play opportunities. As for Elias Lindholm, I know things haven't worked out for him too well in Vancouver, a hot start and then very, very quiet, but him and Connor Garland have some pretty good chemistry. Elias Lindholm, back-to-back games with 5 shots. I also like him to pick up a point here tonight. He had 2 points and 5 shots in game 1. Again, it was the second game in a row with 5 shots, and he also has 3 goals and 5 points in 7 games. On that first power play, Elias Patterson is not doing a whole lot. It's Lindholm right now. And I noticed on 365, Connor Garland and Lindholm are like plus 350 roughly for those guys to pick up a point. They're playing together. There seems to be some chemistry there. And I'm just going to take them both as a single, but you could take them as a parlay over at Bet365 if you wanted to. But Elias Lindholm plus 114 here at DraftKings for a point. And I got him in that parlay with Pastrnak, 4 shots for Pasta and 2 shots for Lindholm. Quite juice. Both of those guys, I think Pasta's minus 160, which I could get behind. But Lindholm's like minus 190, I think, over at DraftKings, which is a bit much. Still waiting on word on Leon Draisaitl. Not sure if he's going to play. Reports suggest dealing with cramps, or he dealt with cramps in game 1. He was away for a majority of the second period, came back a little bit, but clearly didn't look himself. Teams are going to be hush-hush about this. You're not going to hear about the injury and what it is. We just heard now about, today, Austin Matthews is dealing with a head injury in the early round, illness/head injury. And there really still wasn't much to say after that. But Hyman, I think I like the Oilers regardless. I'm waiting to see if Draisaitl is going to play. Of course, the collapse in game 1, Vancouver's really had their number all year. They were up 4-1, 4-2. Late in that game, and Vancouver was able to work their way back into the game. And there was like a stretch of 22 minutes where the Oilers didn't have a shot. I think they just sat back a little bit. I know they did that against the Kings in one game, and they were able to squeak out a 1-0 victory last round. I think they learned something from game 1, but I like Hyman regardless of Draisaitl. He led the Oilers with 5 attempts and 3 shots at 5-5, 6 attempts and 4 shots overall. It was the 4th time in the playoffs where he's had at least 4 shots on goal, and he's only played 6 games. He also has 9 goals in the playoffs, which is crazy. I believe he passed Gretzky and Messier for the most goals to start a playoff round at like a certain point. Through, I guess, would be 6 games. Pretty remarkable. But Zach Hyman over 3.5 shots at plus 110. Evan Bouchard as well, just like Hyman, a lot of ice time, a lot of attempts. He had 3 shots and 5 attempts in game 1. 4 attempts at 5-5 are the second most behind Hyman, and he led the Oilers in ice time with 25 minutes, 42 seconds. He has 2+ shots on goal in every game and 3+ in 4 of his 6 games in the playoffs. And in 5 games against Vancouver this season, he's put a lot of pucks towards the goal, 18 in total. I look at his last few games against Vancouver, 3-4, had the game with 1. But back-to-back games, there was a home and away, I believe. Actually, I think it was just an away and away series. Vancouver hosted the Oilers twice, and he had 10 shots total, 5 in each game. So Bouchard's been putting a lot of pucks towards the goal. Of course, when they get a power play, it's lethal, and they look for him as the shooter. Like McDavid didn't have any shots in game one. I know a lot of people are surprised about that, but he's a pass-first guy. I'm sure he'll be more aggressive tonight, especially if there's no Draisaitl. But Bouchard is the shooter on the power play along with Draisaitl. McDavid doesn't like to shoot. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins doesn't like to shoot, and Hyman just parks himself in front of the net for tips and rebounds. So the shooters are Bouchard and Draisaitl. I like Bouchard at over 2.5 at -118. And then some same game parlays here for points. Hyman and Bouchard points at +100. That one worked out for us in game one, and so did Miller and Besser at +105 over at Bet365. So that's it on the Panthers tonight to win. I expect them to win the series. And also the Edmonton Oilers, I'm going to wait as long as I can to hear about Leon Draisaitl. I know he played a couple years ago on one leg and was fantastic doing so. And if it is just cramps, I think that's good news. I know he didn't practice yesterday. Adam Henrique probably back in the lineup. We'll see his placement if he gets back up on that top line with Hyman and Connor McDavid. But I expect the Oilers to win. And you know what? If they don't win today, then, it doesn't look good for them. Obviously, they'll be down 0-2, but it gets in their head that they can't beat this Canucks squad. And the Canucks start to feel themselves a little bit like, hey, they can't beat us and we're good to go here. But I do expect a pushback from the Oilers tonight, and I will most likely lock them in on the money line, waiting on word of Leon Draisaitl. So a little bit of a recap here. We got Verhaeghe for 4 shots. We got Brendan Montour for 3 shots and a point. Reinhardt and Barkov for points. I got Kachuk and Verhaeghe for points. We're riding with Zach Hyman for 4 shots tonight at +110. Evan Bouchard for 3 points tonight. Like Elias Lindholm, I think he's sneaky in DFS. Worked out for us in game one. Him and Connor Garland got something going on there. So going with the point for Lindholm at +114. I do believe Connor Garland is in play if you wanted to take him as a single. We got Bouchard and Hyman for points, and Besser and Miller for points. And then we got Pasternak for 4 shots and Elias Lindholm for 2 shots as well. And if Swayman does play, I will jump on the save prop if that's like around 30.5. It didn't work out for us the other day. We did get Igor last night. Hurricanes up against it again. It's just the thing with Carolina, so I can take them, right? The offense seems to dry up for them. They get 90 attempts a game. A lot of them are from the blue line or the corner. At least half of them, it feels like. But they just can't score. They can't score. Looking at you, Sebastian Aho. Svechnikov had his game. Gensel scored. Looking at you, Sebastian Aho. It's time for you to step up, but it looks like they are done. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. Good luck on the ice. Cheers.